They told you desire fades with time. They told you respect is something you either have at the beginning or lose forever once it is broken. But deep down, you feel that is not the full truth, because you remember how it was when love was alive, when his eyes searched for you first, when his words carried weight because they came with admiration, when you felt wanted, not tolerated. The greatest pain in a relationship is not the arguments, not the distance, not even the silence. It is waking up one day and realizing the spark of desire and the foundation of respect have slipped away, that he no longer looks at you the way he once did, that his words, his tone, his presence no longer lift you but shrink you, and the mind begins to ask questions that cut into the heart. Is it me? Am I not enough? Is it too late? But what if the truth is that desire and respect are not accidents? They are not random gifts that only exist at the beginning of love. They are energies, and like all energies, they follow patterns. Carl Jung showed us that what is unconscious always governs what is visible. What is hidden always determines what is felt, which means the loss of desire and the erosion of respect are not mysteries. They are signals. They are patterns you can learn to see, and once you see them, you can change them. The revealed secret is this: the way you carry your own energy is the way he learns to carry his desire and respect toward you. When you shrink yourself, when you beg for his love, when you plead for his attention, you may think you are showing devotion, but to the unconscious, you are teaching him to stop valuing what is already too available. Desire cannot live where there is no polarity. Respect cannot grow where boundaries collapse. So what does it mean to change this? It means remembering the part of you that once felt alive before him. The woman who had her own fire, her own worth, her own light. The unconscious responds to energy, not words. You cannot convince him to respect you again, but you can embody the energy that makes respect inevitable. You cannot demand desire back into his eyes, but you can step back into the feminine essence that awakens it without force. Jung once wrote that what you resist not only persists, it grows. Many women resist the truth that their relationship has shifted. They resist the silence, the indifference, the distance, and by resisting they feed it. They try to fill the gap by overgiving, over-explaining, over-sacrificing, but this is how the unconscious takes over. You begin to replay an old wound, trying to earn love by proving your worth. And each time you try harder, his respect drops lower, because true respect is never earned through begging. It is awakened through alignment. The revealed secret then is not about controlling him. It is about transforming you. It is about shifting from the pattern of pursuit into the power of presence. The woman who is deeply connected to her inner worth radiates something that cannot be ignored. It is the paradox of desire. When you no longer chase it, it chases you. When you no longer beg for respect, it rises to meet you. Because the unconscious understands energy more than promises. Think about the early days. Why did he look at you with such hunger and admiration? It was not only your appearance, your smile, your laughter. It was the way you carried yourself as someone whole. You did not belong to him. You belonged to yourself. That self-possession is what drew him. Over time, as love deepens, many women give that part away. They merge, they sacrifice, they lose the edge of individuality, and with it, they unknowingly dull the polarity that keeps desire alive. This is not your fault. It is the hidden psychology of love. Jung taught us that relationships are where the unconscious comes alive, where projection takes place most strongly. In the beginning, he projected his ideal onto you, and you onto him. Desire was fueled by mystery, by difference, by polarity. Respect was born out of admiration for the qualities he saw in you that felt beyond his reach. But projection fades. What is left is not the fantasy, but the real. And if the real you has disappeared into pleasing him, the attraction fades with it. So the secret to making him desire and respect you again is to stop searching for it in his eyes and start finding it in your own. To remember the energy you once carried before his attention defined your worth. To awaken the polarity not by chasing him, but by turning inward. Respect returns when you respect yourself enough to say no to what diminishes you. Desire returns when you dare to embody the energy that made him fall in the first place. The energy of wholeness, of self-trust, of radiant presence. Women often ask, how do I make him see me again? The answer is that you stop trying to make him see. You begin to see yourself. You begin to walk with the quiet certainty that you are not waiting for love. You are love. The unconscious cannot ignore this shift. When a woman stands in her energy, again, something changes in the man beside her. His projection recalibrates, his attraction his respect reforms. This is not a game, not manipulation, not another mask to wear. It is the most honest path you can take. Because when you rediscover your inner fire, you no longer need him to mirror it for you. And paradoxically, that is when he feels drawn back to it. Jung said the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. That is the secret revealed. When you step back into who you are, desire and respect become the natural byproducts. The journey is not easy. It requires sitting with the parts of you that felt abandoned, overlooked, unworthy. It requires facing the unconscious patterns that told you love must be earned by sacrifice. But as you face them, you begin to dissolve them. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, carry yourself differently, and without demanding, you begin to shift the entire dynamic. He feels it. He may not know why, but he responds. Because respect is not requested, it is inspired. Desire is not begged for, it is awakened. Asterisk, when you begin to reclaim this energy, something inside shifts, long before anything changes on the outside. You notice that your voice softens, not from fear but from groundedness. You notice that your boundaries become clearer, not from anger but from dignity. You no longer ask, "Do you still want me?" because you know you are already wanted by life itself. That is the moment when the unconscious dialogue between you and him begins to transform. He senses it, even if he cannot explain it. The polarity that once ignited between you rises again, not from memory but from presence. This is the revealed secret. Not a trick, not a performance, but a remembering. To step back into the wholeness that first drew him to you. To respect yourself so deeply that his respect has no choice but to follow. To embody desire for life so fully that his desire for you returns as a reflection of your own radiance. The work is not easy, but it is simple. Stop searching for proof in his behavior and start carrying the proof in your being. That is when respect comes back. That is when desire is reborn. And that is when love finds its fire again. Before we continue, if you have ever felt that love faded and you could not bring it back, the Jung method can help. It reveals the hidden patterns that shape desire and respect, and teaches you how to break free from what drains love instead of nourishing it. The link is pinned in the first comment. Now, let us go deeper. What most people never realize is that the erosion of desire and respect does not begin with him. It begins silently in you, not because you are to blame, but because you stop hearing your own rhythm when you start living only for his. A woman's deepest magnetism comes from the way she carries her energy. When that energy collapses into neediness, begging, or fear, the unconscious responds by withdrawing desire, not out of cruelty, but because polarity requires balance. If you move entirely into pursuit, he unconsciously moves into retreat. If you dissolve your boundaries, his respect dissolves with them. Carl Jung taught that relationships are alchemical vessels where unconscious forces rise to the surface. What draws two people together is rarely what keeps them together. The spark at the beginning is projection. You see in him what you have forgotten in yourself, and he sees in you what he longs to discover within himself. This is why desire burns so intensely in the early stages. Each of you feels lit up by your own unconscious ideal, but projection fades, the image dissolves, and what remains is the real person before you. When the real has been replaced by roles of sacrifice, resentment, or fear, respect begins to wither. The revealed secret is that you do not need to recreate the fantasy. You need to step back into the reality of your own essence. Respect is born when you embody dignity. Desire awakens when you embody life. This is not about controlling him. It is about awakening you. Many women ask, "What can I do to make him change?" The harder truth is that you cannot make him change directly. You can only shift the energy that he responds to. The unconscious works like a mirror. When you radiate neediness, the mirror reflects withdrawal. When you radiate strength and groundedness, the mirror reflects attention and respect. The change feels mysterious, almost magical, but it is not magic. It is psychology, it is energy, it is pattern. Think of the moments in your life when you were most alive, maybe before you even met him, maybe in a chapter when you were pursuing your passion, surrounded by your own light, before the relationship consumed your identity. In those moments, you carried the energy that awakens both desire and respect, because you were not trying to be chosen, you were simply being. That is the key. A man does not sustain desire for a woman who loses herself. He sustains desire for the woman who stays connected to her own wholeness. Jung said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Many women call it fate when they say, "Every man loses interest in me over time. Every relationship starts strong and ends in disconnection." This is not fate. This is an unconscious pattern. And once you see the pattern, you can step out of it. The revealed secret is not in chasing him harder, but in awakening yourself more deeply. When you stand again in your wholeness, something changes in the dynamic. He looks at you differently. His words soften, not out of pity, but out of recognition. Respect returns because he cannot ignore the dignity you embody. Desire returns because polarity reawakens when you stop collapsing into need. This is not about pretending to be distant. It is not about playing games. It is about shifting the unconscious energy that sets the tone of the relationship. And yes, it requires courage. It requires looking at the parts of you that believed. Love must be earned by overgiving. That respect must be begged for. That desire must be chased. These are wounds carried in silence, often from the earliest chapters of life. A father who was absent, a partner who betrayed, a culture that taught you to shrink. These wounds live in the unconscious until you bring them into the light. That is the deeper work. Because when you heal them, you no longer look for healing in his behavior. You no longer depend on his gaze to feel alive. This shift is not loud. It is subtle, but it is powerful. The moment you begin to walk in self-respect, he feels it. The moment you embody presence, he notices it. Desire does not need to be demanded. Respect does not need to be forced. They flow naturally when the unconscious pattern changes. And even if he does not return to who he was, even if he cannot meet you at the level you now embody, something more important happens. You are no longer trapped in the cycle. You no longer wait for crumbs. You no longer confuse survival with love. You rediscover the power of being whole. And that power alone transforms what kind of love you allow into your life. The secret revealed is this: men desire and respect what they cannot fully possess, not in the sense of distance or manipulation, but in the sense of wholeness. When you belong to yourself first, you become magnetic. When your energy radiates self-trust, his unconscious recognizes it as value. And value always draws desire. Respect always follows dignity. This is why the greatest work you can do is not in fixing him, but in remembering you. When you begin to embody this energy, it does not mean you will never feel fear again. It does not mean the doubts will vanish overnight, but you begin to act from a deeper place than fear. You begin to carry yourself with quiet certainty, rather than loud questioning. This shift is subtle, but the unconscious feels it instantly. The man who once overlooked you suddenly senses that he cannot take you for granted. The partner who lost desire now feels polarity stirring again. He may not even understand why he is drawn back, but he feels it in his body. Because respect and desire are not logical choices. They are energetic responses. This is why so many women who reconnect with themselves describe the same transformation. They say, "He looks at me differently now. He touches me with more intention. He listens when I speak. He pays attention to what he had long ignored." But the real secret is not that he changed on his own. It is that she changed the energy she carried, and his unconscious could not help but respond. This is how deep the connection between psyche and desire really is. Jung often spoke of individuation, the process of becoming whole. In relationships, individuation does not mean separation from your partner. It means not dissolving into them. It means keeping your own soul alive, even while sharing your life. When you lose individuation, you lose the spark that makes you magnetic. When you reclaim it, polarity returns, and respect rises naturally. This is the revealed secret that few understand. You do not need to become someone else for him to desire you again. You need to become yourself more fully. Think of how desire actually works. It is fueled not by what is already guaranteed, but by what feels alive. A woman who abandons her dreams, her voice, her self-respect, in the hope of keeping a man does not ignite desire. She ignites dependency, pity, or control. But a woman who stands in her own light, who tends to her inner world, who refuses to settle for less than dignity, she cannot help but awaken respect. And respect is the foundation of sustainable desire. Without it, attraction fades into habit. With it, attraction deepens into devotion. This is why boundaries are not barriers. They are invitations. When you say no to what dishonors you, you are saying yes to respect. When you stop begging for attention, you create space for him to give it freely. When you step out of the pattern of pursuit, you give him space to move toward you again. It is polarity at work, as old as time and as alive as the unconscious. So if you want him to desire you again, do not chase his gaze. Look inward. If you want him to respect you again, do not demand it, embody it. The revealed secret is that you have always been the key. The unconscious has always been responding not to your words, but to your energy. And when you shift that energy, the relationship transforms. But there is another gift hidden in this process. Even if he does not rise to meet the new version of you, even if he cannot or will not return to the man he once was, you have already won something more valuable. You have won yourself. You have found the part of you that no longer waits for his recognition to feel alive. You have remembered the part of you that carries dignity, whether or not he mirrors it. And once you live from this place, your entire experience of love changes forever, because desire without respect is empty, and respect without desire is dry. The balance of both is what makes love sacred, and that balance is only possible when you honor yourself first. This is the secret revealed, not as a trick, not as a performance, but as a truth that the unconscious has always known. Love cannot stay alive where you abandon yourself, but when you return to yourself, desire and respect return with you.